Welcome to All About Money on HKIBC. I'm Chloe Fong. Hong Kong businesses are facing unprecedented challenges from the COVID tsunami, with catering and retail sectors struggling to stay afloat. As a citywide testing program looms, industry leaders are urging the government to send a clearer message so that they will better be able to decide their next move. Joining us today is Allan Zeman, the chairman of Lan Kwai Fong Group, which is a major property owner and developer in one of Hong Kong's most popular tourist and entertainment districts. Welcome to the program, Allan. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
So actually, recently you have some major move. You have been an economic advisor to the Chief Executive since 2019, and you were also one of the supporters for Carrie Lam's administration. But recently you had written a letter to the Chief Executive urging the government to clarify its COVID policy to prevent huge damage on the businesses. So can you share with us about the reasons for having this move?
Well, it was quite simple. Everybody, when Omicron hit, everybody was very, very, very concerned because it was spreading very, very quickly, and it was going to every part of Hong Kong, every district. And so people were very, very nervous compared to the first four waves that the government did a very good job to control. I saw that the messages coming out from government, everyone had a different message. One day, Sophie Chan said that, we're going to have lockdown, maybe 21 days. Carrie Lam had 4 days before had said probably no lockdown. There's such conflicting messages that were coming out. And so I was very, very concerned because everything that was coming out, people were confused. Businesses were confused. Business people like stability. They like to understand what the future is. They like to understand so that they can help to make business decisions, the right business decision, and because you're employing a lot of people. And so, but we weren't getting that message from the government, and many, many people were starting to leave, expats. There's a whole host of reasons that were really confusing people. And so I just felt that, since I am an economic advisor for Carrie, and I've been working with her for so many years, and I know her, and so I just felt I have to write this letter and just let her know the concerns that people, because generally, if someone was getting the virus, the Omicron, it was like a punishment for, the government was coming out as if you're being punished for it. And really, it's when they need comfort. They need tender love and care. And that was really something that I thought was timely. So I sent it. It was supposed to be a private letter to her, but somehow it got linked to social media and it went viral around all Hong Kong and some parts of the world, actually. And I got messages from everywhere just supporting me and thanking me for speaking out. And because they said nobody had speaked out, people just felt like they weren't being protected and comforted. And I think my letter really helped to dispel a lot of that. And so that's why I feel that, and after that, Carrie actually took note of it and, answered back and in the next morning and really said that she will undertake whatever she can do, the points in the letter, and literally start to get one voice. And that night, she was the one that did a press conference with the public and started to reassure people. At least there was leadership there. So I felt kind of happy, at least, that at least we're getting the government to speak with one voice.
Right. But actually, like you said before, like the consistent voices is very, very important. But even this week, we're still hearing some voices saying that, okay, there might be a change about the mass testing or, a possible lockdown. So there are still kind of conflicting voices. But as you said in the letter you wrote to Carrie Lam, which was then exposed on the internet, in the letter you said, the situation in Hong Kong now is really worrisome because the internationalism of Hong Kong, which involved the one country, two systems, is going to disappear. So I wonder, can you also explain to us what you mean by that?
Well, my meaning was because, so many expat business people, people from all around the world who have lived here, so many have lived here for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, decided to take their children and pick them up and just leave Hong Kong because they couldn't they're worried. And many had heard rumors of testing going to be taking place. And what happened was a Western mother had her 9-month-old daughter who was unfortunately tested positive for COVID and was in the hospital, the public hospital. And the problem was the public hospitals have no beds. They're it just swamped with people. They didn't know what to do. And so that mother, well, the baby was mother was told she can't stay in the hospital with the baby because there's no room, there's no beds, which I understand because the hospital authority just thought that if we give a bed to a mother, we won't have one for a very sick patient who might die. So they thought, I know it was a very difficult decision, but unfortunately, that kind of headline went around the world that how insensitive Hong Kong is towards children, towards mothers and children. And so that really freaked out a lot of local mothers, local families. And so that's why they picked up their children, because they thought with mass testing, if their child gets tested positive, there won't be a place for them to spend time with their child in a hospital. And so they thought they've got to get out of here. And Hong Kong is changing. So Hong Kong was really getting a bad reputation. And, in February, 71,000 people left Hong Kong, which was a record for February. And so I just really felt that Hong Kong is an international city. Hong Kong was built by both 2/3 are mainland Chinese living here, 1/3 are expats from all over the world. And we are the one country, two systems. We're the gateway to China, both for the East and for the West going to the East and the East going to the West. And Hong Kong is the super connector. And so I thought, well, it's really, really important that we maintain that because China President Xi doesn't need another 7.5 million people as a Chinese city. They need the internationalism of Hong Kong.
And let's also talk about your own businesses. How have your businesses in the property sector, the catering sector, and the entertainment sector been affected since the fifth wave? Can you share with us?
Well, in essence, it's almost like almost every business in Hong Kong at the moment. They're on life support, where everyone is in a very critical stage. People can't pay rent. There's no business. Restaurants are closed, open from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m., only lunch business. A table for two, it doesn't work. People working from home, it's a mess. Clubs are closed, bars are closed since January. Gyms are closed since January. So these are many of my tenants, and a lot of them are having trouble paying the rent and paying salaries. And so because they're closed, I understand that. And so I'm trying to help them, but it's very, very, very difficult. Honestly, this is the worst that I have ever faced. Through the other four viruses, we were able to survive. Everything was okay. But this has really been devastating, and the death rate for the old people just is so demoralizing, and so it's very, very worrisome.
Right. And can you also give us a sense about how many businesses might have been closed, due to the current restrictions? Just give us a sense about the scale.
Well, I think that, we say with restaurants, there's about 16,000 restaurants in Hong Kong. And I would say that if things continue the way it is, without any help from the government, probably, the rest are estimating around 5,000 might close, more than 1/3, about 35%. And that's a big, big number. Then with bars and clubs, there's a little over 2,500 around Hong Kong. Many, 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 and it's hard to give you a number because so many have not really. They've been closed since January, but many will not reopen. And also, there's a huge number there that we're all waiting finally for the end game to come, and then we'll see who's left standing. I'm hoping that a lockdown doesn't come or mass testing doesn't come, because I think we're past the stage of mass testing right now. The virus is everywhere. And even if we find out after the mass testing that we have 1 million or 2 million people infected or whatever the number will be, where are you going to put them? What are you going to do with it? We only have an extra 70,000 rooms from China, the ones that are built in a short period of time, and some hotels. So you're going to have a lot of self-isolation. So, I think the time for the mass testing should have been at the beginning, and that's what the doctors are saying. And so if we're going to have it, I think it should be maybe end of April if the virus seems to be stabilizing. I'm hoping in other places in the world, what happens is when the virus hits the peak, usually about a week to 10 days of similar numbers coming out every day, then the decrease in the virus is really, really, really quickly. So I'm hoping that April, it seems to, the last number of days, it seems to have been stabilizing. And I hope that's correct. I mean, we'll see what happens. We have to have a balance between the business sector and the health sector.
Right. And to support the local businesses, besides a consistent voice that you have been proposed, you also suggest the government may consider another round of the wage subsidy, right? Can you share with us about that as well?
I think, in 2020, the ESS, Employee Subsidy Scheme, that really, when the government gave it, it was each employee was given up to 9,000 Hong Kong dollars. And provided that the employer did not fire that staff, or terminate that staff. And so that really, really helped, first of all, to keep the employees working. They got at least $9,000 salary, and employers chipped in some more money to them. But it really helped the cash flow for businesses and really, really made a big, big, big difference. I mentioned in my letter that I thought this was really, really important for the government to look at. Carrie did say that she would take out all the details from 2020 and look at it again and see if that could be done. I think that would be really very, very helpful to all industries in Hong Kong. It'd be something very, very special, because the last thing I want is people to lose their jobs. It's, one person, also his families. It requires so many things. So it's really something that's important.
Right. Thank you so much for your suggestion. Let's take a short break for now. Coming up next, we will talk more about Hong Kong's tax reform, as well as its impact on the property sector. Do stay tuned.